Snapped podcast. My name is Tyler Kluver, and I'm a former Division I athlete turned entrepreneur. I run my own fitness and nutrition coaching business, as well as a sports media brand that produces podcasts, sells merchandise, and creates exclusive paid content. The fun part is I don't really know what I'm doing as a business owner. I'm just figuring it out day by day. This show, Snapped, acts as an audio journal for my thoughts and ideas on fitness, health, business, mindset, and whatever else I find important on the pursuit to personal happiness and a balanced life. I hope you can take something from the show that makes your life a little bit better. And regardless, I'm just happy you're here. Let's have a day. Let's go. Snap podcast, welcome in. My mind is just spinning right now. There's a lot of things happening in the life of mine. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Everything is hitting on all cylinders. Welcome. We'll talk about that in a second too. Welcome into the show. I'll be honest. I thought there was going to be a better response, a better interest in the last 4 episodes. Sometimes you swing and miss. I won't call them a swing and miss, but if we're taking a look at the numbies from the last 4 episodes, the series that I did, what I thought was going to be revolutionary and really take this podcast to the next level, it doesn't seem to be doing that. Funny enough, the very, very small amount, almost non-existent amount of YouTube views that my videos get, the last 4 videos have done better than anything other than like my recap of last year's CrossFit quarterfinals. But the audio versions, and I don't know if this is what this is, if people just decided, screw this, I'm out, not listening to this guy's podcast anymore, whatever. But the audio versions of the last 4 episodes have had a steady decline, like pretty significantly. So I thought I put out unbelievable information, as succinct as I have ever on this show in 150 episodes, and that there was a lot of, I know there's a lot of great information in those. For those that listened and actually did soak in that information, do your best to apply it, and I think it'll do wonders for you. But it was not interesting enough to get a lot of people to click on the episodes, I guess. And I even pumped them on my social media. I never post episodes. I have 17,000 followers on Twitter, and these are the ones I post, and they get half of the listeners. I have no idea. Not mad about it. It's part of the game. When you are creating content, you're recording episodes, you're putting out tweets, you're putting out podcasts, you're putting out other things. There's obviously a spectrum of how those things do in response, and how people receive them, how many people come and consume them. Sometimes you swing and miss. Sometimes you put something out, you didn't expect it to do well, and it kills. I've had that happen many times as well, so I ain't mad. Podcasts are going to keep pumping out, baby. But we're here. What are we going to talk about today? As you'll see in the title, I probably titled it something along the lines of, I'm running a half marathon, or training for a sub 140 half marathon, or something like artsy, like an aggressive pace, something to really draw you in. Regardless, you're here now, 4 minutes into the show, and that is what I'm going to be doing. Body's been feeling good. We're going to talk about the half marathon in a second, but I did want to touch on this real quickly. Body's been feeling unbelievable lately. It could be better. The back is not 100%, like it's not completely gone, but we've found ways to stretch and do PT and manage it to where I can work out full go. My routines have been hitting. I mean, this is probably the most extended time period where I have not missed a single day on multiple routines. And it goes back to that January 1. We started, I mentioned how my wife and I started reading 10 minutes a night on Jan 1. We have continued that through now February 7th as of this recording. That's 38 days. Haven't missed a night. Maybe missed like 1 or 2 nights, but then the following night read double. So we've got it taken care of. I've been doing Started in January with 100 push-ups a day. Now I've increased it starting in February to 140 push-ups a day, and those combined numbers by the end of the year will put me at 50,000 push-ups for 2024. Haven't missed. 100 ounces plus of water every day. My hydration has been on point. My stretching has been on point. Working out has been on point. Nutrition has been on point. I'm telling you, I am in a groove right now. And it's feeling good. And it's led to more productivity on the work side of things, on this side of things, producing content. The walk-ons is starting to pick up. Even though it's the off season, we get into this groove of, hey, we get to have a bunch of guest episodes. We just crushed with a recent guest, Joe Evans, who just played for the Hawks last year. So a lot of things are happening. And so, why not add one more thing to the list of things to do during the day? I already train a bunch. CrossFit, as you guys know. But we've decided to run a half marathon this year. It's not the first half marathon I've ran. In fact, I've ran the distance of 13.2. Oh, let's call it, we're close to 10 times. Definitely at least 7 times. 2 times specifically as a race, and then another 4 or 5 times in training for the full marathon that I ran. And we're going to do it again. And we are doing an aggressive pace. We are shooting for an aggressive pace, something that isn't just like a small likelihood that I don't hit it. It's like a 50-50 chance that we are able to run the pace that we want to run, and that's a sub 140. Now there's probably several of you listening to this who are like, an hour and 40 minutes half marathon. Like it's a 7:38 mile. And for some people out there, that's easy day. No big deal. Cash money. Go out, start trotting. You can hold a 7:38, no problem. It's a little bit different for me. Okay. And I'm not really one to play the genetics card, which is why I'm targeting this race pace. I think it's possible for me to do it. But naturally, absent of the training and the preparation, your boy is not the guy who's getting close to a sub 140, a 7:38 mile for 13 of them, right? I am 5'10 and a half, shorter. And within that 5'10, biomechanically, I have a longer torso, longer arms, and a shorter lower half, short legs. Not good for running. Just biomechanically, not good for running. You take the best runners in the world and you stand me next to them, we don't look anything alike in any way. One of the glaring differences is that I weigh 200 pounds. I'm pretty beefy. Now, when I sit down on the rower in the middle of this rowing progression that I'm currently doing, and I pull 141s for 8, 10 intervals in a row, 1 minute rest, that helps. Helps to have a little beef behind you. But when you're running, if you look at Eliud Kipchoge, or the guy who just broke the marathon record this past year, they're 110 pounds. Rail thin. Long legs. Long. And they're also from Africa. Training in Kenya. So I am 0 for 3, 0 for 4 on all of those things, but it doesn't matter because we're going to do it. We are going to run a sub 140. Now, how realistic is this? Am I going to reach that goal? Is it even within grasp? Let's dive into that. I've run this race before. It's going to be the Dam to DSM. Several of you probably familiar with the race. It's sort of a legendary historical race. Used to be called the Dam to Dam. It starts at the Saylorville Dam up in Ankeny, and runs south towards Des Moines and finishes at the I don't know if it's called the Iowa Dam or it's I think it's just the Iowa River in downtown Des Moines. Beautiful route, pretty flat, even a little bit downhill at the start. And I've ran this twice before. Like I said, in 2020, when COVID hit, I ran this thing with my buddy Justin, who might be listening to this. Shout out to Justin. We trained and ran this thing in 1 hour. I ran it in 1 hour, 55 minutes. First time I had ever run a race, ever trained for a race. Every mileage past 5 miles in the training leading up to that 2020 half marathon was the farthest that I had ever run. First time I ever run a long actual race. Now, it was a little bit unfortunate. The pandemic hit, right? So we actually ran the original route, but we ran it by ourselves. On the day that the race was supposed to be scheduled, we went out to the dam. We stood up there by ourselves. It was actually kind of cool. And we took off and ran the whole thing by ourselves. No aid stations, no finish line, no start line, no music, nothing. I ran 155. I ran it again the following year, and this is when it might have still been Dam to Dam that year. I'm not quite sure. The following year, they changed the course, and it was a 20K. Instead of a half marathon, they made it the Dam to Dam 20K, which is a little bit shorter. I think 12.4 miles. And I happened to get COVID that year. In fact, we might have talked about it. I think I've been doing the podcast long enough that I think I was probably podcasting around then. And my goal was to run a faster pace than the year prior. The time was going to be faster, assuming I did that because it was 0.7 miles less. But my goal was to run like 150-ish. I did not do that because I had COVID. I couldn't fucking breathe. So we came in across the finish line. I just looked it up before this at a 155.46. So 46 seconds slower than the 13.1 the year before. I was just happy to have it over with because again, couldn't breathe. Pretty proud to run that equals out to less than well, I might have been pushing it actually. That's probably a sub 2 hour half marathon with COVID. We'll take it. Neither of those times close to a 140. I think the paces on those are something like 840 ish, and then like a 911, a 906 or a 909 or something on the 20K. So great fun. That's my history with running these. The route is cool. Love the route. It's beautiful. At least I got to run that 2021 race with a actual start line. They bust us out to the start. Music, that was fun. There's, hundreds of people on the course with me. Um, that will happen again this year, obviously. And the question is, why again now, after 3 years, 2.5 years of not running any more races, am I getting back into the distance game? Especially with my competitive goals in CrossFit. Well, it kind of coincides with how that training has gone the past year. I will be running this race with my brother, Zach. He ran the Kansas City, which is where he lives, half marathon 2 years ago. A pretty hilly course from what I understand. And he ran that thing in 143.15. So that hurts my ego, one. But also gives me a lot to work for. Gives me a lot to kind of grind for, right? It's like, damn, he went out there. I gave him the training plan that I used to run those 2 races, which was vastly under prepared, by the way. It was the bare minimum you could do to like run that distance. We'll talk about that here in a second. but he went out and ran 12 minutes faster than me. I mean, he ran a pace on a hilly course that was only 3:15 off what we're trying to run this time. And this goal was kind of based off of him. He's like, I ran 143. I want to run sub 140. Like, I don't want to not run the race with him. Like, we're running the race together for a reason. So I want to be able to go at the same pace. So guess what? A 7:38 mile per minute per mile pace is what we're going for. The other reason, and so that's fun, right? I get to run a race with my brother. Several of you have probably done that before. You get to run with a family member or a friend, and you go and you knock out a good goal and you accomplish it. You get the medal, you get the you cross the finish line. It's good. It's something to train for. At base level, that's what this is. It's like it gives us a goal, something to actually work towards that can provide a little direction to our daily training. He hasn't had anything like that in a couple of years, so he's been looking for something like this. But on another note, obviously we are about to enter, like, in 1 month from now, we're going to be back in that CrossFit season, the very short CrossFit season. Um, be it for me, because, well, for one, and we'll talk about it when we get there, but the qualification got even harder this year to make the semifinals, which is the third of 4 stages. But two, as you guys know, starting back in 22, November of 22, I've had 3 significant back flare-ups, um, in the past, 14 months, 15 months. That has, over the course of those 15 months, pretty significantly derailed my CrossFit training and my ability to push into the even more elite levels of CrossFit fitness that I have wanted to pursue, mostly with weightlifting. I've been able to do a lot of cardio, uh, you know, therefore half marathon, but my strength has pretty much stayed the same, maintained strength at best. A couple things may have gotten a little bit better. Um, and a lot of the volume kind of stuff with gymnastics, muscle ups, handstand push ups, other stuff like dumbbell snatches, and just a lot of the high, box jumps. A lot of these things I just have not been able to put in the work on because my body won't currently accept it. It will just shut down on me. So I've had to be smart. I've had to mentally do a lot of work to, like, be okay with that. And the end result of that is that I am not going to be as fit as I was last year when I did the CrossFit Open. I'm not going to be, I will make the quarterfinals and I will do the quarterfinals. I will not be as fit or rank as highly as I did last year in the CrossFit quarterfinals. And that is okay. I am prepared for that. We are managing our expectations. And you'll get to see all that in a few weeks when those rankings/scores start coming in. I'm okay with it. But I can still run, no pain. Right? So that gives me something to push for, because the CrossFit thing is sort of, hey, we'll do what we can. It's what I love to do the most. It's what makes me feel good and what gives me a great workout and what allows me to kind of chase the aesthetic goals I want, yada, yada, yada. But as far as, like, pushing for a goal in CrossFit, there's not a lot. It's basically, let's get as fit as we can without running my body into the ground. And then we'll do the open, we'll do the quarterfinals, and we'll see where we match up this year. And hey, maybe we'll be able to give it another run next year. So screw it. Let's give a 100% effort to something we can attack, right? And that happens to be the half marathon this year. So, what's different this time around? Third time running this race. Well, again, it's been 2.5 years, and I have learned an unbelievable amount more about endurance training, VO2 max, zone 2 training, um, not to mention just the general increase of my cardio fitness in the last 2.5 years. Like, I've still been working out that whole time, getting fitter, most notably in, let's see, it would have been The beginning of 2022, we got a Peloton and we started doing the Zone 2 training. I believe it's actually been about 2 years exactly since I've had the Peloton. Never did any Zone 2 training, didn't know anything about running in a Zone 2 heart rate when we were doing these previous half marathon preps. Turns out that's extremely important, right? The mileage, the volume. Here's some numbers for you. Half marathon, 13-mile race, right? In a 12-week prep for the half marathon last time, I did a total of 119 miles. 119 miles. That might have been in 8 weeks. We were averaging something like, what is that? It's 15 miles a week. Average. The race is 13 miles. How are you going to average 15 miles a week and prepare properly for something like that? So the volume is drastically different. I've actually got the new program that I wrote myself. Could be a disaster. Who knows? Right here in front of me. It's a lot more nuanced. We've got interval runs on Mondays, easy runs on Tuesdays, threshold runs on Wednesdays, Thursday rest day, Friday is a pace run, Saturday is our long Zone 2, and Sunday's a rest day. The intervals are programmed out. There's a different workout for all 13 weeks of prep. It's a 14-week prep total this time around instead of like an 8 to 10-week prep. So we're like almost doubling the amount of time that we actually spent directly prepping for this thing, and we're tripling the amount of miles. Total miles I'll have run from day 1 of this program through the race, 344. It's a lot different than 120. So, not to mention the fact that knowledge, again, on the training, the Zone 2 side of things, the importance of like interval runs and threshold runs and speed runs, stuff like that. But not only that, I know so much more about nutrition and recovery over the last 2 years. I know I have another 2.5 years of body IQ of what works for me, what I know is going to get a little tight here, how to recover, all these things. So it's going to look much different than it did in the past. And it has to, because of the goal, because of what we're trying to run. It's aggressive. 1 hour and 40 minutes for somebody like me who is primarily still going to be CrossFitting and lifting weights during this time, probably 3 to 5 times a week, while also running 3 to 5 times a week. It's a lot. But it's what we need. Or if we're going to approach this with, hey, we want to run and finish when that clock is at 1:39:59 or less, we have to have this sort of program. How is that going to interlock with our CrossFit training? I will be dialing it down. The running will take priority, especially as volume starts to increase. I think the first week of the program is 17 miles. Let me check that. 17 miles in week 1. That will work up to our peak week of 32 miles. And, around that, there's 4 other weeks that are 28 miles or more. So, weeks 8 through 12 will run 28, 28 and a half, 30 and a half, 32, 28. That's 5 weeks of a lot of miles for me. So the lifting will be dialed back. I'm likely going to drop it down to 1 primary lift per day. Really, most of the conditioning will be the running. I might do 1 like CrossFit Metcon a week where I take a dumbbell and I do some pull-ups and I do carry a sandbag, maybe. Most of it's going to be the running. And then I will lift probably 5 days a week, probably Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. And I will try to do like 30 minutes, go in, load up the squat bar, do whatever I have for squat work that day, get out. 30 minutes, one high intensity strength session, not necessarily high intensity, but like one very focused, deliberate strength piece for the day, and then get out. Not a lot of accessories. Any accessory stuff I'm going to be doing is going to be recovery focused. Um, kind of pre-covery, prehab type stuff. And that is how we'll kind of mesh those things together, because the quarterfinals for CrossFit, which I am going to compete in, is going to be during week 5 of this half marathon prep. So, we still have that to do. Fun facts from a quick Google search, by the way. I wanted to see if there was like a generalized VO2 max equivalent for the pace that you run for certain distances. And of course, there is. Now, this isn't directly correlative because VO2 max is based on age and weight. How much you weigh is a variable in the formula of VO2 max. But generally, I typed in a 140 half marathon and it spit out that you need about a VO2 max of 45, I believe it's liters per minute or something like that, to run that pace. And then it also gives you pace equivalents for different distances. So it says that if you can run a half marathon in 140 or less, your mile time is about a 6:24. That's about exactly what my mile's at right now. I'm not running shape at all. I might be able to run a little bit closer to the 6-minute mark. 5K, right about 21:47, sub 22. That's about right. And then a marathon, it extrapolates it out to about 3 hours, 28 minutes. That seems a little bit fast. This is probably likely for slow twitch athletes as well. And then on the other side, it actually gives you your training paces, interval paces, threshold paces, repetition paces, easy pace, marathon pace. So this is a nice little thing to have. Really, really enjoy having those, and I'll probably write those down. And then another little fun fact, I was like, you know what? How aggressive is this? How many people who have ever run a half marathon and their times have been logged and written down? Um, what's the percentile of a sub 140 finish, right? Turns out it's pretty good. And even my previous times are pretty good. If you go to that 155 I ran, it says 155.29 is faster than 81% of people who have ran a half marathon. I'll take it. Top 20%. The pace that we're targeting now of a 140 or less, that will be in the 5th percentile. Faster than 94.8% of all runners. For someone who's not a runner, I would fucking take that. Being, you take 100 runners and I'm the 5th fastest guy, I'll take that. No doubt. So, fun little stuff there. And yeah, I'm excited. The race is June 1st, so I'm sure there will be a couple more updates on this prep. It officially starts in 3 weeks, from 2.5 weeks. On February 26th is day 1 of the program. I've already been doing some morning miles, running a little bit of zone 2 vested, unvested, trying to get some just volume on the legs and the knees. We're at about 10 miles a week right now. Over the next couple weeks, we're going to up that to 15-ish. We haven't run into any problems yet, so we can kind of be ready for that 17 miles at week 1. And yeah. Has anybody out there ever run a sub 140? I'm sure that several of you have. I guarantee it. Any advice? DM me. Send it over. Is anybody running the Damn to DSM this year? Are you going to run this race? Let me know. If you haven't signed up yet and you want to, or you're planning on it, I can send you my little affiliate code. And I think it gets me like a swag backpack or something if I get so many people to sign up. So, let me know. This is the update. We're feeling good. Body's feeling good. Sore today. It's a shitload of toes to bar and some sandbag yesterday. 40 muscle ups. Still trying to be fit for CrossFit. See how high up the rankings we can go. But we are full on going to run a sub 140 half marathon. That is the new goal. Set on the prize, and we'll continue to update you guys as we go along. Thanks for being here today. A little 30 minutes on the Snap Podcast. Check out TKG Training for all your daily training needs at home. All you need is a dumbbell and 30 minutes and some effort to get elite fitness. TylerCluver.com. Hit me up on social DMs if you want to ask a question or ask me about any of those opportunities. See you next time. Your excuses are not valid. Go have a day.